on. Yes, Georgi? You have a chance to impress your compatriots.
Well, yes. Actually, it's from bees to bombers. Two major geopolitical players, actually, they have the biggest nuclear arsenals, are exchanging niceties, and I don't hear the voice of the European Union because there is a war which may happen very close to the European borders. As Mr. Juncker frequently speaks to leaders with his small GSM phone, I would like to know if he has contacted some key players recently, or at least in the last 24 hours. And I also would like to know if Mr. Juncker will take questions at the press points you mentioned.
On your two questions, the answer is yes. Yes and yes. Yes, he speaks and follows. Yes, he will take questions in his press conference with Prime Minister of Slovakia. If you are interested on another voice on foreign affairs, Maya is there to help you. Are you? Yes, Maya.
I would just say that you have to listen very attentively because actually we do have a voice. And what I can say very clearly is that the European Union condemns in the strongest terms the use of chemical weapons, included as reported, and you've seen that in our statement, during the latest attack by the Syrian regime forces and its allies in Douma this past weekend. We, as the European Union, reiterate the strong need for accountability in Syria for all war crimes committed, and in particular for the use of chemical weapons and its commitments that we have in this regard. The use of chemical weapons is a war crime and a crime against humanity. You might be aware that Syria will be on the agenda of the next Foreign Affairs Council that takes place in Luxembourg on Monday, that will bring all EU member states together. As Margaritis has confirmed, we are having a number of ongoing contacts, including also on the level of the High Representative Vice President Mogherini. In view of the developments, in view of the Foreign Affairs Council, and in preparation of the upcoming second Brussels conference on supporting the future of Syria and the region, and as a reminder, it will take place on the 24th and 25th of April here in Brussels. Just more generally, as a reminder, since the beginning of the conflict in Syria, the European Union was clear that only a political solution as defined in the UN Council resolutions, for example, 2254 and Geneva Communique of 2012, will ensure lasting stability in Syria. And we, on this occasion, can reiterate once again the support for the work of the UN Special Envoy for Syria, Staffan de Mistura, and UN-led Geneva process in this regard as the primary process to achieve an intra-Syrian political solution.
Follow-up. He's looking for a soundbite. Georgi, go ahead.
Thanks. Actually, yes, I'm aware, of course, but Monday is Monday. I hate to have a war before the weekend, but Monday is Monday, so questions today, not on Monday. I would like to know if among the people with whom President Juncker speaks is also the President of Russia. We know that Mr. Juncker has better contacts, I think, with Moscow compared to leaders of other institutions. Therefore, that's why I'm asking the question. Did he make this move?
I will never take to the press room discussions at that level. You know that we never do that. If we have anything that we need to announce, we're happy to announce, and you will be the first ones to know. What I can tell you, if you're looking for a soundbite, is that Europe is an anchor of stability and reason in a very volatile and uncertain world. Yes, James.
Thank you, Margaritis, and thank you, Maya. I just want to, obviously, you're condemning the use of chemical weapons in the strongest possible terms. Does that condemnation extend to supporting military action against those who use chemical weapons? Thank you.
I have nothing to add to what I've said at this stage.
Okay, follow-up.
But I mean, that's not the strongest possible terms, is it?
No, that's not what I said. I said I have nothing to add, but I maintain what I said, which is that we condemn in the strongest terms the use of chemical weapons.
Go ahead, Aziz.
I'd like to know where the EU stands. But given that one or two of these member states could be involved in strikes against Syria over the weekend. So how do things operate in the European Union in that sense? 28 member states, 2 member states could be involved in strikes. So what will happen on Monday? We take note of the situation? In my view, everything has to wait until Monday. But as Margaritis said, we are in contact with our member states as well. Given the developments and given the upcoming council and given the conference that's being prepared.
Matteo Salvini, who is candidate to be Prime Minister of Italy, yesterday tweeted about Syria, saying that the chemical attacks was fake news just to launch bombs. My question is, would you qualify as fake news the chemical attacks? Thank you.
You would have seen that in statement we issued on Sunday, we said that all reports that we have and all evidence points to the direction of chemical weapons indeed being used in the attack over the weekend.
Is there anything else for Maya? Sorry, Giovanni, go ahead.
Sorry, Maya. Maybe I missed something of your declaration. But do I understand correctly that the European Commission has no position on the possibility of military strikes in Syria? Because you're speaking about the gas attacks and condemning the strong, but you had said nothing of the perspective, a very concrete perspective of military strikes in Syria. So do you understand correctly that the EU doesn't take any position on this?
I did not say that. I made our position very clear. I also said that there is a Foreign Affairs Council coming up. I can't comment expected events, but I think that if you look at what the European Union's position has been on the chemical attacks, on the war in Syria, I think we've been extremely clear in where we stand.
Okay, let's have a second round and finally close this chapter. Yes, Vazi.
Very simple question. Did Vice President Mogherini meet with Macron over the last 24 hours?
J'ai pas compris.
Could you repeat? Did the European Commission or Mogherini, have they been in touch with President Macron, who might be involved in strikes against Syria? Have they asked him what his reasons are and how that will dovetail with the EU? We are in contact with our member states, and we are in contact with France.
Okay. James, is there something that we haven't covered, really? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry to sort of come back to this, but you say you're being extremely clear, but it sort of reeks of, well, it's somewhat platitudinous. I mean, what exactly are these strongest possible terms?
Listen, we are talking about chemical attacks, reported chemical attacks. I've said it very clearly that this is a war crime. It's a crime against humanity. First of all, we've been very clear on the issue of accountability, which is of paramount importance. We've been very clear on the issue how we see the need for the political solution of the crisis in Syria throughout its many years now, because simply we've made that extremely clear and have been engaged in this respect. We have been also engaged in humanitarian context. We are organizing as the European Union, together with the UN, in a few days' time, actually, a bit later this month, a very big international Brussels II conference on Syria. So there is a number of our own initiatives that is currently ongoing, which is something that is actually our core mandate. And in view of all the developments that we have seen, not just in the past few days, but also over months and years, we have been extremely active. The High Representative herself, the President, our other EU interlocutors on all levels have been engaging on this.
Jurek.
Maya, could you just refresh my memory? In the previous communications of the Commission or the ES or the High Representative, have the other previous military operations, war operations by the Syrian regime also been qualified as crimes against humanity or war crimes? I mean, other military actions than obviously the gas attacks. Just refresh my memory.
If you look at the number of Council conclusions and statements, I mean, I can't run through everything there, but there have been clear references on this and on attacks. For example, we've also issued, for example, declarations on behalf. I think the last one, in particularly this context, was a year ago. So if you look at the whole body of what has been said, you will see a very clear narrative.
Okay, thank you, Maya. I'm sure we'll come back to that tomorrow and the days to come. Anybody else? Anything else we can help you with? Yes, David.